Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with kind of a rogue market and a product review video. Kind of a hybrid of both. I apologize if this is just going to be an unedited, kind of sloppy video, but just barely got back from my fishing trip. It was pretty fun, by the way. Anyway, we'll get back into the Magic scene here with finally, holy finally, Wizards does something right with products, which I think is their ability. I don't think that a lot of times Magic the Gathering should print products based upon the value of cards. So, like, if they say, oh, this is over $50, we'll have to cut a card, they should just basically print cards based on necessity, and every Clash pack should have the same amount of rares. And, yeah, it's a good opportunity to put some product back in the market that I think desperately needs to for players to actually play decks without such a high price tag in both Modern and Standard. And boy, oh boy, do they do a beautiful, beautiful job. So kudos to Magic. I know I haven't said that much recently with all the complaints I've had with a lot of their products, especially products like Clash packs. But this one, I think that they addressed the need of a lot of cards out of like Dragons of Tarkir and the Collins blocks, and still made an interesting deck. So this is going to be a review of the Clash pack. Now, when it actually comes out, I'll playtest it like I do with all the other products. Well, I should be doing with all the other products. I need to start getting more consistent with doing that. But I'll probably play this at an F&M and see how it performs. So that part of the review is going to come later when this product is actually available, and I can play it in F&M to show you the power level of the cards here. But what I really want to talk to is Enter Value City out of the deck list. Look at this beautiful, beautiful deck list. You have, now this is a great time to print cards in the uncommon range. They're a little bit pricey for uncommons. So let's just start off with the uncommons that they've given this alternate art to, which I think is pretty sweet alternate art to begin with. The Seeker of the Way and Valorous Stance. So, both of these are more pricey in the uncommon range. Seeker is just an incredibly powerful card. You see it every now and again in Modern, but it's one of the better Pro S cards. It 1/1 in lifelink is pretty huge. It's exactly what a white creature wants to do, and already a 2/2 body, so this guy can get out of control very quickly and kind of swing the game into your favor. It's great in an aggressive deck, and it's a great card against any sort of aggressive deck. And now the Valorous Stance is also such an incredible card in Standard because it destroys target with toughness 4 or greater. So right now, that's always going to see a ton of play with Siege Rhino and any other problematic card. This card's going to be even a lot better now that the Dragon, the Pro White Stormbreath Dragon, is going to be gone. This is going to be a premier removal spell out of white. So both these are getting an alternate art, plus they do need some sort of reprint. So right there, this deck gets some value. But now let's go over to the rares. So I first started going down the list here. Honored Hierarch. I've never really been a fan of this card. This is the what they say, the verdict is still out on this card. We'll have to see how well it does play. It can sort of feel like a what are some other 1-drops that become 2/2s? I mean, Experiment 1 actually becomes bigger than a 2/2 quite easily, but a 1-drop that becomes a 2/2 with very little help is usually going to be a staple for green aggro cards. But it doesn't become a 2/2 until it already does damage, so who knows if this guy will get in there for 3 damage or 5 damage before it's taken care of. But usually it's going to eat a removal spell. If not, it is a 1/1, and if it has the Renown, it can attack with Vigilance and then still add mana in your second main phase. So pretty sweet card in that aspect. A 1-drop that becomes a 2/2 and can still ramp you into your 4-drop. Not really your 3-drop, because on turn you can't use it till turn 3. And so it's your 4 or 5-drop. Well, most likely 5-drop that you're going to add the extra mana to. So was very disappointed there wasn't a 1-mana dork in the set. But this one's kind of an interesting card. So the verdict is still out for this guy. And we'll have to wait and see if it's... I still think it's going to be a bulk rare there. It's going to have a very, very... the decks that it does see play in are going to be very niche decks. I don't really think that it's going to go... You're not going to slam it in every green deck like Birds of Paradise Elvish Mystic has done in the past. So anyway, this rare is okay. It is an average power level. It's going to see play. It's nothing that you're going to write home to mom about, but it's still a solid card. So then we go into like Dragon Hunter... Great 2/1 for 1 mana. You're going to see this is very, very aggressive deck, so it does seem like it's going to work well in an FNM. I mean, it has most of the pieces to the puzzle here. So we get to our first rare, and this card is actually, again, the verdict is out on the Outline Colossus. It's a 6/6 for 5 mana, which isn't bad. I wish it did have trample, but it can't be blocked by more than one creature. That's going to make it so it can't be chump blocked, and if you gave trample to this guy, I think it'd be a little too powerful. But then when it does dish out combat damage to a player, it becomes a 12/12. A 12/12 for 5 mana. So basically, it feels kind of a lot like Colonial Hydra in a way. If you don't answer it immediately, then this guy is going to win the game within a few turns. The problem is, cards like Colonial Hydra have always been a disappointment to people that have actually tried to play them, because cards like Doomblade and Ultimate Price exist in their respected formats. Ultimate Price is going to stick around for quite a while with the Colossus. So in fact, is it going to be? Yes, it's from Dragons, so the entire life of the Colossus, there will be Ultimate Price. So a card that doesn't impact the board immediately with some sort of enter the battlefield effect, or just some sort of big effect, like this is, you have to consider this is Whisperwood Elemental's slot at the moment. And can Outland Colossus ever be better than Whisperwood Elemental? It does survive Languish, which Whisperwood Elemental, I've talked about the death when we were talking on Twitch. I said that Whisperwood Elemental's done because of Languish. It's going to be very, very hard to justify playing Whisperwood Elemental when everything gets destroyed by Languish. So, anywho, the Colossus might have that impact. I doubt it. I just have a hard time really seeing this guy seeing standard play. That is yet to be seen. So I was very bummed that the first rare is kind of wasted on the Outland Colossus, but the verdict is still out, we'll say. Cards like Colonial Hydra have still kept a high price tag in the past. So then we go to the second rare with the Kytheon's Irregulars. This one has a tap a creature for 2 mana and becomes a 5/4 quite easily, because you can tap down any sort of blockers for 4 mana for a 5/4 with Pseudo Evasion, which can also save you from your opponent from attacking into you. This is a limited bomb, probably one of the best limited cards in the entire set. I want to see this in my, well, I'm choosing black, so I probably don't want to see this in my opening, but if I go black-white, I absolutely want to see this in my 6 packs. But it is just an incredibly powerful card, limited, but again, it might be just not impactful enough in Standard. It's a decent card, though, so far, this is looking like a typical Clash pack. Has decent cards that maybe you wouldn't play unless you're a new player and have nothing more powerful, and then they'll do the job at an FNM. There's better things than these, but they'll do the job. So then we go down to kind of some filler commons. Of course, I talked about the Valorous stance, and then a command? A card that sees Modern? Oh, please, this is exactly what Clash packs need to be doing. They need to be adding more inventory to the Modern scene as well as the Standard scene. This still, I think this is only around is it a $4 or $5 or $6 card, somewhere around then. We'll do a price breakdown right after the set is released to say exactly how much this. I'll do it with my complete review when we actually play the deck at an FNM. But it's an incredibly powerful card that has some serious longevity with it. I mean, I've already started to see a lot, like Hate Bears use this. I've even seen Abzan use this in their deck, if not main board, then sideboard, because all of all of your choices here are very relevant in Modern, and it's incredibly powerful right now in Standard due to all the enchantment creatures and just problematic enchantments like Banishing Lights. It's really making Banishing Light unplayable right now, as you can get whatever's underneath Banishing Light by making them sacrifice an enchantment. But the most mode that it usually uses is put a +1 counter on target creature and then make it fight. But the sacrifice enchantment is just like a huge bonus to this card. And I've even seen prevent all damage to target instant sorcery spell would deal this turn to save one of your guys as well. So you can even put a +1 counter, save one guy, and then prevent damage. This actually prevents all damage from an Anger of the Gods at the moment. And I don't think that a lot of people are using the command in that role, but if we do see a green-white aggro deck, then this is going to be necessary for an Anger to combat an Anger of the Gods. So I'm so glad that they did decide to print a command in this Clash pack. All right, it's gotten some decent money now already between the alternate art of the Valorous stance and the Seeker of the Way, and even if Honored Hierarch has like a $1 or $2 price tag. It's getting good for a Clash pack. There's an entire whole another deck to go to with this. And then we go on to the collected company, a $16 card that continues to go up, which is definitely taking Modern by storm and Standard by storm. Now we are getting a hate card printed out of the new set that will exile any card that is not cast from a hand. But Collected Company is still an amazing, amazing card in Modern. I love the card in Modern Merfolk. I love it in actually Modern Goblins. I think that some people are looking at Goblins the wrong directions. You can go ahead and look at my history on videos and you'll see the Modern Goblins deck that I built with Collected Company. And it is just an absolute powerhouse in the deck. Getting 2 Lords for the price of just 4 mana is just simply amazing. So Collected Company already puts this deck at worth to buy, in my opinion. Now we go on to pacifisms, and maybe Banishing Lights would be better. Pacifism is fine, though. Go on to Blossoming Sands, yeah, we expect that. Evolving Wilds, expect that. What? What? They did it? They printed a fetch land? Thank you. They actually did something smart. I would actually like more than one of the Windswept Heath rather than like Blossoming Sands. I mean, they have every their ability, I think, to print these would be fine, and it wouldn't just put too much into the... In fact, I think that one of the problems might be there won't be enough of these going around, because these are the premier lands in Modern for ages to come. This one's actually... Windswept Heath is actually one that's played in Legacy quite often in any sort of green-white, Death and Taxes type deck. And so it is an option in Legacy as well. So good on them. They finally did something we asked for, and this will definitely bring down the price of the Windswept Heath, at least make it worth less than the box is, the difference between a Collected Company and a Heath. So we're already worth the money, and there's entire deck list to come. So we come down this one, this one's okay. It's a cool dragon. I can't believe this one doesn't see play. It's a great card in, like, again, a limited format. It's going to be a legendary creature dragon. It's always going to hold its value. All right, sweet, that's fine. Got some filler here, some Anafenza? Anafenza! A card that is, again, a Modern staple. It's an Anafenza Company. It allows a lot of degenerate things to happen in Modern, and is a decent card in Standard. That is just sweet. We get Anafenza on this. The price of this deck continues to go up. Just the power of this deck keeps going up. Avatar of the Resolute, another premier rare. Like, these are rares from Dragons. This did seem like a ton of Dragons cards being printed. In fact, almost every Chase green-white Dragons card has already been shown in here. So instead of your green-white player, why buy any sort of Dragons or Tarkir pack? Just buy this instead. So that's awesome. We get an Avatar of the Resolute. I'm just incredibly in love with this card because it goes in any sort of devotion-based strategy in Modern, and is actually quite underrated. I think the power level of this card is very, very good, especially with any sort of +1/+1 counters. That's what Anafenza and Lightwalker is trying to do. We have the Disown Ancestor. We have a lot of stuff in this dangerous one that's trying to put on counters. So the Avatar is definitely perfect for this kind of Outlast strategy. So we go on to more filler, more filler, more filler. What? Now is Siege Rhino? Okay, we're going to hit every premier card in green-white from the Khans of Tarkir block. So Siege Rhino is in this. It's another card. Not only that, but it gets an alternate printing. And so did the Eternal. Dromoka, the Eternal, gets a alternate printing as well, which is actually a pretty sweet-looking one. And then we have the Sunset Citadel that also gets another alternate print. This is kind of a sweet little artwork, too. I like this artwork a lot, which is going to go in, people's premier EDH decks, any of these decks that want to use Sunset Citadel, they might want the alternate artwork one. So, just Siege Rhino puts the value up, and this card is quite low right now because of just the sheer amount of Khans of Tarkir that was open for the fetch lands. But eventually this card's going to be a pretty pricey card as it sees a ton of play in Modern, and is one of the most impactful cards in Standard. I would rank it within the top 5 creature cards in Modern, if not the best, if not the most impactful. I mean, if you look over the long stretch of Standard, can you name a creature card that has been more impactful? Now, people will say, well, Ojutai. Well, Ojutai is just brand new. It has only been hitting Standard for a little while. Siege Rhino has been there from the beginning. In fact, from my spoiler, I was like, Siege Rhino is going to see massive play. It's an incredibly powerful card. It continues to be an incredibly powerful card as long as these colors are supported in the format. So, awesome alternate artwork to Siege Rhino. Kudos, kudos, kudos. So we keep going down, and there's 2 ultimate prices. Again, I think this is a perfect time to print the uncommons that need reprints. And this was printed in one of the Scars Mirrodin block, or no, it was in Return to Ravnica block. Which one was it in? One of those. And so it does need to be. It's the premier removal at 2-drop, and I think that the more copies into the market, the easier it is for people to build decks. No one wants to spend like $1 or $2 on an uncommon. And again, the dangerous isn't quite as like, then they have kind of these rares, which are still kind of nice, like Abzan Ascendancy. You put a +1 counter whenever it enters the battlefield, and whenever a non-token creature dies, you put a 1/1 spirit token. It's a card I've tried to really use, but the problem I've had with Abzan Ascendancy every time I try to brew with it is the 3 mana cost ends up being usually a 5-drop when you find all the right colors, or it just competes with a lot of cards at that same converted mana cost that most Abzan decks don't want 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying or +1 counters on anything. They're just dropping good stuff after good stuff and curving into, like, the 3-drop doesn't want an Abzan Ascendancy into a Siege Rhino. It wants a Courser of Crufix into a Siege Rhino into something else. So it's just a card that's just, I think it's powerful enough, just really hasn't fit any particular decks. And Citadel Siege is one of those too. I've seen this did have a brief flirt with Standard. There's still some people that swear by this card because it immediately does get an impact. It gets 2 counters on a creature you control before combat. So you put it down your main phase, and then your first combat, beginning of your combat, on your turn you put 2 counters. So you get value immediately. And the Dragons is also at the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, so you get value out of this immediately too. It doesn't have to, like some of the Sieges, you have to wait an entire turn before you get value. And Citadel Siege can turn all of your little dorks, your Elvish Mystics, and everything into threats later on. Every one of your cards has to be threats, or it's going to continue to get bigger. So it's a decent rare. Like, all of the filler rares that they chose, I would say, if they don't 100%, they've all seen play or will see play in some aspect. I think that the Honored Hierarch will at least see tier 2 or tier 3 strategies, and you'll see people trying to make Outland Colossus and Kytheon's Irregulars actually work in Standard. Like, they're powerful enough that I could actually see them in Standard. Not like we've had these past Clash packs that just have filler, like absolute bulk filler that have no chance in hell of ever becoming Standard playable or staple cards. All these can be. You can make the arguments for Abzan Ascendancy. Citadel Siege has been there before. Siege Rhino, that's not going anywhere. This card's going to continue to be impactful forever. Avatar goes in Modern and Standard decks. Anafenza goes in Modern and Standard decks. So the Eternal can be argued for. I'm surprised that people haven't found a way to make this card bigger, because it becomes a 7/7 on its first attack, or at least make something else bigger, and it just gets outshadowed, I think, by the newer Dromoka, but it's still a fine card. I think this is the fillerist of the cards, but everyone likes dragons, and everyone likes a legendary dragon even more than that. So all in all, I'm not going to give this a grading yet. Hey, it's got Armed and Dangerous, but not the card Armed and Dangerous. Anyway, so, and then they give this suggestion of how they would build this if you're going to put the 2 decks together. Or what is this other? Oh, okay. Wait, no, never mind. This is the okay. Yeah, this is the suggestion, I think, right? If they put them all together, what they would do. Yeah. Okay. So, and then anyway, we'll talk about the other Clash packs in a second. I haven't read over them. Are not Clash packs, intro decks. I don't think we'll talk about the intro packs, because usually intro packs are full of filler. I guess we'll compare them to what intro packs try to do versus what their Clash pack that's supposed to be ready to play with a friend and then ready to be combined to be competitive and an FNM. So all in all, again, I'm not going to grade this until we actually do test it. So until I have this in my hands and actually play it in an FNM, or I might play it on playing on a budget. Oh, this is crazy that I can actually play this on playing on a budget and then just upgrade, put another, so this is going to cost, what, $25, so I can put another $65 into, or excuse me, $75 into it. Yeah, this should be quite easy to work with, because it's already giving me like $40 worth of cards to go from. So absolutely, either on playing on a budget episode, I'll play this, or we'll do it in FNM. I'll let you guys decide what you want me to do. This kind of deck, I'd prefer to do it in FNM, because this is what they try to say it's good to go for. So I mean, in the past, unfortunately they've used a lot of like bulk stuff. So let's just quickly go over the intro packs and see what the rares are in these ones. So it's going to be the Prison Warden that I've actually heard people say this might see play. So it's flash whenever creature deals combat damage to you. If it enters the battlefield this turn, you exile that creature, so you can actually flash in after an attack phase. It's almost like a Wrath effect, almost. But they get him back if they kill the Prison Warden, that's very easy to do in this format. A Valorous Stance gets rid of it, an Ultimate Price gets rid of it, a Abzan Charm gets rid of it. There's plenty of things that actually get rid of the Prison Warden at the moment. So, but there are some people saying that this is a decent card. I mean, then they have to do damage to you as well, so you actually have to survive a hit. But I mean, this is a decent one for an intro pack. See what else is anything at all that stands out. So they have the Outland Colossus again in this, so that kind of devalues the Outland Colossus in the regular Clash pack, but that's fine. This seems actually like a pretty powerful intro pack compared to the ones in the past. Yeah, that actually does. The 2 rares in here are above average than the filler that you find a lot of times in intro packs. But any other intro packs I wish they'd use to print a lot of the cards like uncommons and commons that need reprinted that sometimes flirt with actually being valuable. And I don't really see any of them in this one. So, yeah. But anyway, we'll go on to the next one, see what the rares and so this could be the Alhamir at the High Arbiter. So there's going to be a legendary creature in every one of these, possibly. Enters the battlefield, opponent reveals their hand. You may choose the name of an on-land. Reveal this way your opponent can't cast spells with the chosen name. It's going to be a jerk card in Commander. Unplayable in Standard, in my opinion. There's better things to do in Standard. And it has a lot of, like, defensive stuff. Not a big fan of this this particular deck. It just seems like a blue-white control with no real way to kill your opponent off. But, I mean, it gives all your flying creatures +1/+1. There's a lot of flying creatures. Wow, they added 3 of these in here. I guess to make this guy work, you need as many as possible. I think they should have done a full 4 in this intro pack. But then there'd be, like, little ways to upgrade it. Yeah, not too much. This one's... What's the other rare? Do we even see the other rare so far? Okay, it's going to be this Soulblade Djinn. Whenever you cast on a creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 to the turn. So it's prowess for all of your creatures, which is kind of cool, but it's a little high casting cost, and we actually have cards that kind of do that right now. Limited Bomb, though. This is a pretty sweet card for limited. But all in all, these are what intro packs look like. And unfortunately, Clash packs have had too much of a feel of intro packs in the past. So Kothophed, the Soul Hoarder. When a permanent owned by another player is put in a graveyard from battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Oh, wow. That's that's risky. That's very risky. I don't know if you can quite play that in Commander. That's not a may effect. That's a must effect. But 6 mana for a 6/6 flying. Yeah, kind of cool card. And I might actually see some Standard play. Highly doubt it, though. Better things you can be doing with 6 mana. 6 mana spell better be like really impacting the game to the point that your opponent has to deal with it immediately or they die. And I don't quite think this card has that effect. Really weird there. Having Flashback Marauder and the warrior version of this, the other warrior. They're both warriors. Wow, the Orc Warrior, whatever that is, the 3/1, exact identical stats in the same standard. Looking forward to Nantuko Husk in this stat Nantuko Husk in standard. It gives me a sack outlet that is. And Blazing Hellhound is sweet too. So I'll talk about these cards when I actually talk about the set, what I'm excited for. So anywho, what was the other rare in this one? Do we see it? Where is it? Chandra's Indignation, which is kind of a sweet card. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. That's a sweet card. I think this is going to be cool. It's going to give you another card in your deck, like your Swans or your Stuffy Doll deck. Sound of Victory actually has Paya and Kiran Nalaar. I want this card's a sweet limited card. It puts 2/1/1 flyers. So for 4 mana, you get a 2/2 and 2/1/1 flyers. And if you sacrifice an artifact, it shocks a creature player, and it gives you 2 artifacts to sacrifice. Unfortunately, the sacrifice on Paya and Kiran Nalaar are pretty high at 3 mana. So anyway, let's look at the other. So these intro packs actually aren't too shabby. The Responder, I actually don't like the Responder. It doesn't untap, and then 7 untap it, and whenever Responder attacks, deals 7 damage to our creature if any player controls. A bunch of 7. Very hard to actually get it to work. Hunting Pack. We have the Lord. Wow. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. And this one's actually the Mana Gorger Hydra is pretty cool in a commander deck as well. Whenever a player casts a spell, put a counter on it. We've seen cards like this in the past actually become playable. This one at 3 mana, yeah, it could be playable. If your opponent, just even after a few times, it's going to be big. I don't know, though. I'd just rather have a 3/3 trample for 3 mana guaranteed right off the bat. So, pretty sweet, though. These intro packs are some of the best intro packs I've seen in a long time. And this Clash pack has been incredibly good. Like, on value, we can already give it an A. On playability, that has yet to be determined. And creativity, that is yet to be determined. It's probably going to get marks off on creativity because it's, well, who knows? It might actually not. Well, it'll have to be tested and see how well it plays. So, kudos to Magic for actually creating. Whoever did this one should get a raise for this. And they finally give, I think, the player base something they actually want. Because Clash Packs, they've stated in the goal, they want them to be playable, and they want them to appeal to new players and seasoned players alike. And if you're a new player, you're buying this Clash Pack. You're not wasting your money on the intro packs. You could buy 2 intro packs or this Clash Pack. You buy this Clash Pack. You buy this Clash Pack. You have new friends that are getting Magic. You make them buy this Clash Pack. It gets them a nice start into Magic the Gathering. They don't need to go back and buy a lot of dragons if they're playing in white, green. They can start fresh, have a nice already copies of these older sets to upgrade with the newer sets that are coming out, like Battles for Zendikar and this Origins. So absolutely kudos to Wizards for creating this. As an experienced player, hey, I don't even have all my commands yet. These are 2 cards that are on my trade list. It's going to be a cheap way for me to get them and have some fun in the process of playing with this in an FNM and just testing it out. So huge thumbs ups from me for whatever that's worth. I'll be excited to see Tolarian Community College's review on this as well. I'll definitely link it in the description when he posts it. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.